and welcome. My name is Ajna Shakti, and it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce a woman who I can call friend, mentor, as well as just incredible human being. Dr. Jessica Tartaro is an intimacy coach. She specializes in couples counseling, women's work, as you're going to hear today in this fine speech. And her work in my own life has been transformational. So, with no further ado, this is just Dr. Jessica Tartaro. So as I stand here, I notice that my heart is thudding in my chest. Like I could feel it with my hand, but I can feel it like reverberating in my body, and my mouth feels dry. And I feel like slightly teary hearing Ajna's intro, so my eyes feel a little wet. I'm worried that my makeup is gonna run. And my heart is still thudding. And I want you to know what I'm feeling, because I want you to see me. Because I want you to see the me that I experience on the inside. The one whose skin I live in. I want you to see me. Because what I've found as we walk through the world as women is that if we can't see each other, more often than not, we fill in the gaps with stories. And those stories tend to come, again, more often than not, from us, not the people on the other side of our eyes. So I ask you as I'm standing up here, just as like an inquiry question, a thought question. What stories are you dressing me in? Now I do this too. Oh, I'm a big storyteller. I look at someone and I think, I know your story. I see how you dress. I see how you walk in the room. I see the men you check out or the women you check out. Oh, I know. So I do this too. And the experiences that led me to giving this talk today have taught me that in order that we can recover the sexy sisterhood, we need to start by looking at our patterns without judgment. So I ask you, without judgment from me, and ask you to lose the judgment on your part, what are the stories you're telling as you look at me standing in front of this room? Do you think I have it together? I got a microphone, I'm a keynote lecturer, I got a PhD, you guys. I must have it together, right? Do you think maybe I had a happy childhood? Do you think you know things about my history? Like, she must have been supported. Look at her now. Right? I not only know about your present, I know about your past. Right? Do you think you know about my bank account? She must have a lot of money. Look at those earrings. Right? We do it. We all do it. We take these clues and then we just project. Okay? So lacking that window into the person, we write the story. And so here's the question I've been asking. What do I need to do to be in a community of women so that I write the story? So that you see the me I want you to see. Because what I want is that I want you to take care with me. I want around me, I want you to be kind. I want you to know how vulnerable I am. And I realize, in doing this work, getting ready for this talk, and all the life experiences that have gotten me here, that you can't do that unless you have this window into me. So these are the questions I've been asking that led me to giving this talk today here, Recovering the Sexy Sisterhood. And the reason I've been asking these questions is because a pretty interesting phenomenon had been happening in my life in DFW. I've lived here about 2 years, 2 amazing years. And for the past year or so, and with regularity, I've been having contentious encounters with women. Oh no. Oh no. Imagine that, right? Maybe I'm not the only one. So contentious encounters with women, and the kind of encounters that might leave me with that like knife-like, white, hot, searing pain that just stabs me in the gut that my body can't even take, so much so that I feel like I want to throw up or kill someone or both, and that is true to life. And usually I don't have those reactions in front of whatever woman it is. Usually it's with my good friends or with my then boyfriend, because sad to say it, but most of those contentious encounters were about my then boyfriend. So it was about two women and a man, which is the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst. So I started looking around because I was like, I don't want this to keep happening. And perhaps there's some answers if I look at a bigger picture. And I started talking. And what I found was that these stories were not so specific to me. That if I was to say, is this happening to you too? It would be that eyes rolling, oh boy, me too kind of thing. So I wasn't the only woman who was having these run-ins and hitting these edges, but I was definitely in a lot of pain and I wanted to not feel it anymore. So I started thinking about what might be going on. So I'm going to tell you some of my thoughts about what has us have, at times, such a difficult time with women. And this is, of course, not to say that this just covers all of our patterns. My best friends are in this room. I've got incredible, sexy sisterhood alive and well in my life, but there's so many other sisterhood experiences that I would love to have different. So I asked myself, why is it that it's so hard to be with women? So here's a couple ideas to get your gears turning. We'll see what you think. So we think one of the trends is that we as women have learned to be and enhance in ourselves our masculinity, which it's not inherently bad. So our masculine is the doer, right? And we handle a lot of, can I say shit? I can't, right? Yeah. We handle a lot of shit, right? I got a row full of mothers in this front row. We've got a PhD student over there. We've got women who run their own businesses and everything in between. So we handle stuff. We're out in the world. We're creating. We're leading. We go, yeah, we're going to bottom line things. We're tending the tribe. We're also tending the business, and we're tending our friends, and we're tending our partners. And so we're hyper competent. And what happens when we're hyper competent is we're basically enacting a masculine system. Again, it's not inherently bad. But if we kind of look at the balance, and we all have the masculine and the feminine in us, our brothers here have the feminine, we have the masculine. If we think about, what we're looking for is just balance, right? What's holism? It's balance. So what's the premise of the masculine system? Well, the premise of the masculine system, anyone just want to guess? What's the rules that operate in a masculine system? My relationship to you is what? As what?
Power. Competition.
Competition. So the principle that governs in a masculine system is competition. Okay, so competition, you think of a soccer field, you think of the corporate ladder. But basically, in competition, we're working with a deficit model, because if I win, necessarily you lose. So think of a symbol like a ladder. So there's rungs, and there's rungs that go higher or lower up. There's a relative order. So I'm either lower or higher. So in this system, not inherently bad, but we're just looking at, okay, what's the impact? I don't want you to get ahead, because your gain and your power means I'm less powerful. So again, it's a story that none of us wrote. We did not author this story. I did not ask for this story, but I came into this story because our world is primarily driven by the masculine. This is not about demonizing masculine. I'm a big fan of masculine. I got a PhD. I got a lot of masculine in me. But this is about right balance. And so we think about, okay, so how is this principle having women begin to treat each other in such a way that we don't have each other's backs, that we see your win as something that's a loss to me. So I think this is one of the factors that we're hitting into, is we're treating each other as enemies because we're not paying close enough attention to a story that we were given that we don't really want to replicate, do we? But that's a story that we're kind of embodying until we write a different one. So that's one factor. I think another factor, and I just love this trend, and I imagine this is true for those of you in this room, is that we're coming out of solitude or solitary or isolated living, like in these little bubbles, these furloughs in our suburbs. Oh my God, DFW is so spread out, isn't it? Like the miles that have been driven to get here. So we're coming out of these little bubbles, and we're coming into more communal living. And I don't mean living like in a commune, though that's cool, less of that in DFW, but more like, instead of just meeting each other for these big special events, like, hey, we see each other for July 4th or Easter or whatever, it's like, I'm letting you see more of my highs and lows. So we're maybe doing a spiritual book club together, or we're studying meditation together, or we're going to the drum jam together, or dances together, but we see each other in the spaces in between. You might see me cry, or you might see me fight with my boyfriend in front of you. You might see these private moments. You might see me in my bathing suit. I mean, it seems so simple, but we're getting more surface area of exposure to each other. So necessarily, the rules of intimacy have to change. Because if we only share intimacy with one person, our partner, our kids, in our bubble of our family, the map is fairly straightforward. If you have my last name, you get this, everyone else gets that. But if we're in communal spaces where we're beginning to talk about sex more freely, or we're dancing together, or you're seeing me where I shake my stuff on the dance floor, or whatever it is, suddenly it's like, what's okay to share? Is it okay that we all hug each other? It seems small, but this is an important question for any couple to work out, certainly a single person to work out. What does it mean if we cuddle? What are the rules? So we need a new map. Well, until we have a map, it's scary. Anyone ever gone on a journey or gone camping or something and you don't have a map and you're lost? When we get lost, we freeze. When we freeze, we either flee or fight. So lacking a map, also that contentiousness can arise. I don't know what to do here. You looked at my man, or we're both looking at the same man, or maybe you like women, we're both looking at the same woman, and I'm scared because I don't know if I can share with you, if I can have some too. So if we don't have that map, then we have to answer some questions for ourselves. So the part I'm excited to talk to you about is how we create the different way to do this. What's the alternative? So I'm going to start by telling you about a dream. It's not my dream. It's a dream that came from a very generous sister who's in this room. But I'm going to tell it as if it was mine, because it could have been, which is a good sign that we're dreaming together. So it goes like this. So we're in the living room. It's my daughter, she's young, and my husband. It's our brand new home and we've just unpacked, and we are so optimistic, happy. There's big picture windows leading out to the front street, and as we're sitting there, bullets come flying through the windows and we dive for the ground. And we just barely missed the spray of attack, and I'm petrified. The next night dawns and the drive-by shooting happens again. The third night, again, bullets fire through the front windows of my new home, and I'm on the ground, and I crawl towards the front of the house, and I peek out, and I discover that it's a police car driving by, firing bullets. And I look further, and I see that my front windows are boarded up by wooden shutters nailed in front of the windows of the house. And I realize they can't see us, and they don't know that we're good people, and we need protection. They think perhaps it's the old tenants, something somehow in here that is unsafe to them. And I try to convince my partner we need to take the shutters down in order to be safe. And at first he resists, but then he relents, and we take the shutters down. So when she told me this dream, I was floored by the symbolism. And of course I asked permission to share it because I think it needs to be shared. So I think about the translation of this notion of the invisible house and how it shows up in our relationships with each other. And I think it's less often more like outright attacks, less often more like bullets flying through the windows, though I've had my share of those and I'd happily live a life without any more of those. But I think more often than not, it's a certain emotional unavailability that happens between women. Quick show of hands. You've ever been considered aloof, cold, or distant, right? We all get it. I have. So the irony when we hear this about ourselves is that aloofness or that seeming emotional unavailability is usually masking what? It's masking, fear. Our own vulnerability, our own insecurity, nervousness, I feel awkward. I don't know how to be in this circle of friends and I really want you to like me, but because I don't know how to be with you, I pull back. So here's the irony, is that emotional unavailability that keeps us back here has you think that I'm judging you. It feels like disdain, right? And then the stories begin. The story mill with we women. She thinks she's better than me. Yeah, she thinks she knows more than I know. Yeah, did you hear that? Yeah, you did too? Oh my God. You know, I saw what she was wearing. Did you see what she was wearing? Those shoes did not match. I mean, really. Right, and the stories begin, so that's where we tell the stories on top of her shuttered walls. And the enemy story writes itself over and over and over. Boarded shutters that might obscure the happiness on the inside, the true integrity on the inside, the living a human experience of a couple and their child settling into a new home. But if you can't see it, you can't take care with it. So how do we pave the way to an alternative where we live as sisters who have each other's backs? So my view, I work as an intimacy coach all day long, every day in my personal life, and a little bit sometimes when I go and talk to my clients too. I'm learning how to open my heart. That's why I do this work, so I can learn how to open my heart. And what I believe is the key, is the glue, is the bridge between a competitive structure, a structure where we would hurt each other, undermine each other, sabotage each other. What I believe is the pathway out of that is our vulnerability. So in our vulnerable selves and from our vulnerable selves, we begin to take the competitive system and we turn it into the collaborative system. So instead of the ladder, the rungs, the upward moving symbol, we've got a web or a circle. Everything I do is in circles. We sit in circles all day long. Or an electrical circuit. And when you've got an electrical circuit, any energy in is energy for all, because we're all plugged into the same thing. So instead of you win, I lose, it's you win, I win. So how do we actually get ourselves into the circle, out of the ladder and into the circle? So I talked about vulnerability, and here's the two pieces that I think are the most important. This is not just a theory. This is like, how do you walk the talk? That's what I'm most interested in. How do we walk the talk, right? Otherwise, it's just ideas. We love our holistic wellness, but sometimes it's a lot of like disembodied concepts. How do I put that into practice? Okay. So I think one of them, a lot of us talk about the masculine and the feminine, right? And these can be tricky topics. But one way of thinking about the feminine is it's our vulnerable hearts, heart, hearth, home. That thing in the center of us, that thing that feels the most, that thing that wants what it wants, that thing that dreams what it dreams, okay? This is true of men and women. If we think about the feminine as that one that gets hurt if she's not taken care of, that wants to be cherished, that wants to be revered, that wants to know that she's safe. So in this culture of striving and achieving, it is epidemic that as women and men, we don't tend to our own inner feminine, our own inner lover, mother, daughter, sister. I didn't learn that when I was a kid. I learned that in the face of my pain, it was time to toughen up, right? There's many of us who learned variations on that theme. So thank God I got these strong masculine features, and I can grow and I can learn and I can protect others and I can educate myself. But the lesson that was lost in there is when it hurts, stop. Name it. It's right. We don't push through these things. You wouldn't stomp through the most beautiful flower garden, but it's the same thing we do to our own emotional hearts. So then we go, okay, so I'm not feeling safe in my own body because I've basically shamed my own feelings, the desires I have, the impulse to dance, or the attraction I have to the cute guy who I keep seeing every week at whatever my club is. So when I shame those things, I'm already playing enemy in here. So no wonder when I get around you, I wall up even further. I'm not safe in my own skin. There is no way that I could be safe near you if I'm not safe already in here. Number one, it's taking care of our own inner feminine. So the inverse of that principle or that pattern is also true. If we wall up when we reject and shame and divorce our inner feminine, when we embrace her, when we choose the healthy friends, the healthy partners, when we engage in our spiritual practices, when we take care of our bodies, when we stop and we say, I need to talk, I need to shift out of the schedule as it was planned because my heart is broken and I need attention and I need healing. When we do that, she responds. So she, I mean me, but the essence in us that is that feminine, that is that one that governs the heart, she allies with us. And when she allies with us, we feel more safe. And when we feel more safe, we can inhabit our skin and step into the world. And then what you say and what you do matters less because I have my own back. So first and foremost, recovering the sexy sisterhood is recovering our own inner feminine, having our back so that we stand a chance at receiving your support and having your back. That's number one. Number two, so I'm an orgasmic intimacy coach. So that means I talk about sex. And I think we all should talk about sex because life is just so much more fun because we're thinking about it and our bodies want to think about it. My niece is in the room. And it's a healthy thing as far as I'm concerned to be sexual creatures. And what I know about sexuality is that it's where our power comes from. And our hearts are so powerful and our minds are so powerful, but we have nothing more sensationally potent than our sexual desires. And so I'm going to say it, which is part of allying as sisters and really choosing to open those shutters and reveal ourselves is to embody ourselves as sexual creatures. Now, when I say recovering the sexy sisterhood, I had to clarify this to someone. It doesn't mean going out and having a big lesbian orgy, though I'm a big fan and I won't stop you. But what I'm talking about, in fact, is actually letting you know about the great makeout I had last night because I got enough juice to go around and I want you to feel it too. It's sharing with you what's really real for me, like the challenges I'm having in bed or some new fantasy I've had or just some question I have. I don't really know how to do this, but can we talk about it? So I don't know about you, but there is something so generous when you see a sister's eyes light up because you're willing to share how he caressed your face last night and the full weight of his body landed on yours and you pressed into the bed and she electrifies because you've let her plug into your circuit. Because you've said, sister, I got some. There's enough to go around and I energize you and you energize me. It's embodying ourselves as sexual creatures. Now, as a culture, we can't feel below our waists. This is not just true of women. The reason intimacy coaching came around is for us to begin to feel the rest of our bodies. And so what I'm saying is not, oh, this is so easy to do, but the sisterhood has a big chance at making progress in the blockage we have related to our sexuality by confiding in each other. Because we're all in the same boat. We all want to be loved. We all kind of get a little confused when it comes to picking the right partner. Then when we pick them, what do we do from the inside? We're all in the same boat. And, you know, it's like, it's so hard to be a woman and have all these desires and have all these emotions and sometimes you're tired and sometimes you can't sleep. And it's like, we all have the same story. Can we back each other and risk really telling it like we're experiencing it and embody our sexual nature? It's part of the full package. I love being at the Holistic Wellness Festival. It's a very daring thing that they bring a sexuality coach. It's rare, and if you enjoyed this talk, I encourage you to thank your host of the event, because they're saying, hey, sexuality is part of holistic wellness, and guess what? They're right. So recovering the sexy sisterhood includes opening that vulnerable heart and taking care of her as if she was your most cherished lover, your daughter, your mother, and risking acknowledging the sexual nature inside of you and being willing to open the dialogue, just being willing to share and chat and name it and ask questions. And if you don't know, there's some sister out here who does. All right. So I'm going to conclude this talk by talking just a little bit about some actual practices that can move us in the direction that we're going, because we're going in this direction. I'm here because we're going in this direction. It's happening. You're all in this room because we're going in this direction. But it's going to take nothing less, I believe, than the full weight of our spiritual and physical and psychological practices and our community support to actually upend this story of enemy and turn us into sisters and allies and friends. And I believe we can do it. I think one of the very first and most vital steps is committing to connection with relentlessness. Committing to connection, committing to loyalty to our sisters with relentlessness. So let me paint this picture. So we're sitting around and we're going for tea or we're having breakfast or whatever it is, and one of the women say, I heard that so-and-so blah, blah, blah. Happens every day. I heard that so-and-so blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's called secondhand information. And then so-and-so goes, oh, I heard that so-and-so blah, blah, blah too. Okay, so secondhand information that gains steam, right? Okay. So you're at the receiving end of this, and it's a choice, ladies. It's a choice. This is not let it wash by you and just keep agreeing to pass the story because a non-comment is a yes to that story. It's a choice, and does the story stop with you? So here's my invitation. I heard so-and-so did this blah, blah, blah. And you go, who's talked to so-and-so? Do we know? Is that true? And if any of you has the wherewithal, contacting her and saying, hey, I heard blah, blah, blah. I wonder if we can connect. Is this true? So we could go today, this also is personal. I got news that there was a group of so-and-sos who were saying blah, blah, blah about me. And by the time it got to me, there was great conclusions about my blah, blah, blah. But right? Better just leave it at that. But the blah that they said I'd said, I didn't say. It didn't come out of my mouth. But they never asked. They never let me tell them what was true for me. They concluded the story. They ran the story. It's some they, some multiple they. I don't even know who it is. It just got to me, the way these secondhand things do in those painful ways. And it's no longer about me, the person. Okay, so that hurts. And every moment that you hear a story, there's a woman at the other end who's risking getting hurt. And there is no pain. There is no pain like being talked about by your sisters, the ones who you're asking to have by your side. So what I've been doing, because here's this opportunity, I'm like, I'm giving this talk, of course, I'm getting all these opportunities to practice what I preach, is to take care of ourselves on the inside. And then on the outside, to be braver. We just gotta be braver. We just gotta say the unusual thing instead of just going, oh yeah, I heard that too. It's like, well, let's check with her. Why don't we invite her to our next breakfast? Let's check with her. Let's let her speak for herself. That's a commitment to relentless connection. I invite you from today forward to practice it.
I was talking in 5 minutes.
Okay. So a second practice, some of you may know it. Meditators in the room? Anyone's a meditator in the room or some form of meditation? Of course. Okay, so then you know what metta is. Metta is loving kindness meditation. M-E-T-T-A, loving kindness meditation. It's so simple. It's basically like wishing you well, right? That's like every Hallmark card or, greeting, hi, and have a good day. But it's more focused than that. Because it's a meditation, so it's an allocation of our attention and our intention in a particular direction. So metta is, I want wellness for you. Here's a simple way to practice metta. So it's get clear who you're practicing this for. How about the so-and-sos who blah, blah, blah about me, okay? So that's what I've been practicing. So it goes like this. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. And may you be at ease. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. This is the meditation. In the face of the feeling of, I want to attack, I want to run, I want to scream, I want to throw up, may you be well. May you be happy. There's no better way to teach your heart to open. There is no other way we're going to get to the other side than in the face of the urge to contract, to consciously choose something else. And let me tell you, it's the hardest thing in the world. And in conclusion, I think the only way we're going to do that is if we do it together. Why? Because I need inspiration, ladies. I need examples of how this looks. So I want to tell you that in the past, I don't know, about 6 weeks, I have been very supported by my friends. I've had a pretty intense month and a half or so. And during that time, the women in my life have texted me at 4 a.m. in the morning when I was breaking down. The women in my life have loaned me clothes, loaned me jewelry, bought me lunch when I didn't have any money, shared their dreams with me, listened to mine, sung when words were not enough, protected me, reminded me and showed me how to protect myself, allowed me to mediate their worst arguments, mediated mine, and including today, backed me in my dreams. That's how we're going to do it, is by offering that quality of support, because if any one of us is standing as a brave warrior like that, then any other one of us can too. It's called permission, it's called inspiration, it's called being models for each other, it's called giving what you want to receive. So that, my friends, is how we're going to recover the sexy sisterhood. We are teaching a course, July 16th, my compañera here, who's going to come and join me, Ajna Shakti, who's been an amazing ally in this journey. She and I are teaching a course July 16th. It's the full afternoon of what you got a taste of today. So the backdrop, but each of you is going to do your story. Okay, so it's you bringing yours. It's you talking about whatever the breaks are in the sisterhood. It's you talking about what needs to happen so that breaks get mended. And then it's the actual practices, which I mentioned a little bit today, but we're going to enact them because this is a living action. This is a fully embodied action. The practices that we're going to practice together so that we're recovering the sexy sisterhood here in DFW. Now, a talk about women, with women, by a woman would not be complete without a song. We're singers, right? We as women, as part of what we do, we sing for the community. So this woman here is a songstress, and this song is hers. It came through her, and we're going to sing it together. You're going to catch on. So if you are one of those people who are like, I'm going to open my voice and I'm going to risk it, yes, you in the back, then I invite you to join us. We're going to sing a couple rounds, and then we're going to close. Given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive. I want to receive love, I want to receive love, and so I must give love, given what I want to receive. Peace, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive. Peace, I want to receive peace. I want to receive peace, and so I must give peace, given what I want to receive, 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 given what I want to receive. Loyalty, I want to receive loyalty, I want to receive loyalty, so I must give loyalty, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive. Given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, forgiveness. I want to receive forgiveness, I want to receive forgiveness, so I must give forgiveness, given what I want to receive. Everyone, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive, given what I want to receive. Sisterhood, ladies. Thank you for your voices. Thank you, brothers, for being in